Hello everyone. Thank you all for watching the video and leaving meaningful comments. Wishing everyone good health and happiness. Early in the morning, as the first rays of dawn appeared, I woke up to the tranquil atmosphere of the countryside. The fresh air and the cheerful chirping of birds created an energetic start to the new day. I quickly stepped into the kitchen to prepare a simple breakfast, just enough to fuel me for the long day ahead. Familiar dishes were cooked over a small flame, spreading a fragrant aroma throughout the house. After breakfast, I began working with the bamboo that had been brought home the day before. The long, lush green bamboo stalks lay neatly in a corner of the yard, waiting to be processed. Carefully, I split each stalk into smaller sections and used a sharp knife to smooth out every edge. My hands moved swiftly as I worked, beads of sweat forming on my forehead, yet my heart was filled with excitement at the thought of the new kitchen that would soon be built from these very bamboo stalks. While I was busy with my tasks, James embarked on a different journey. He left home early and drove to a hill where local farmers grew corn. The cornfield unfolded before him like a vivid natural painting, rows of straight, green corn swaying gently in the breeze. James met with the farmers there, conversing and negotiating to purchase the entire cornfield. This was not just a commercial transaction but also practical support to help the locals gain a stable income. As James focused on his work purchasing corn, I continued processing bamboo at home. The steady clack-clack sound echoed as my knife struck the bamboo stalks. While working, I thought about how to use each piece efficiently, which ones would serve as pillars and which would form the roof frame. Though simple, this task required meticulousness and patience. As the sun climbed higher into the sky and its rays filtered through the tree branches into the yard, I remained engrossed in my work. The bamboo was gradually processed and stacked neatly in piles. Wiping sweat from my forehead, I looked at my accomplishment with a small sense of joy. On the other side of the hill, James had completed purchasing the cornfield. He spent some additional time chatting with local farmers before leaving, carrying truckloads of corn, the fruits of an entire season's hard labor. On his way back, James stopped at several places to check on other tasks, while I prepared myself for the next duties awaiting me that day. After finishing the bamboo splitting work in the morning, I began the task of driving bamboo stakes into the ground to build the foundation for the new kitchen. The bamboo that had been processed the day before now became the primary material. Each stake was carefully measured and hammered into the ground to create a solid base. The sound of the hammer striking bamboo echoed rhythmically in the quiet surroundings, blending with the gentle breeze rustling through the trees. I continued shaving bamboo stalks into smaller strips, preparing them for assembly and completing the framework of the kitchen. The work required patience and precision, as every knife stroke had to be exact to ensure the bamboo pieces fit together perfectly. While I was diligently working at home, James had already completed purchasing the cornfield earlier in the morning. He didn't stop there but proceeded to visit a pomelo purchasing factory to check on production progress. The factory came into view with a bustling atmosphere. Workers were carefully sorting each pomelo, while baskets full of fruit were neatly arranged, ready for packaging. James walked around the factory, observing how everyone worked and discussing production processes with the manager. Beyond inspection, James took time to encourage the workers at the factory. He reminded them about the importance of maintaining workplace safety during operations, from using tools correctly to protecting themselves from potential risks. Additionally, he emphasized food safety standards, ensuring that every pomelo was handled under hygienic conditions before reaching consumers. His words were not only motivational but also reflected his deep concern for everyone's health and work quality. Meanwhile, I continued my tasks at home with the bamboo. The smoothed bamboo strips were neatly stacked nearby, ready for the next steps in constructing the kitchen. As I worked, I thought about upcoming plans, creating a roof with large palm leaves and designing an open space for cooking. The afternoon gradually settled in, with soft golden sunlight streaming through the small garden where I was working. My progress was promising. Sturdy bamboo pillars had been successfully erected. As for James, after completing his work at the pomelo purchasing factory, he prepared to return home. A day of hard but meaningful labor was drawing to a close, bringing joy from both of our accomplishments. In the afternoon, as the sunlight softened, I began constructing the new kitchen using the bamboo materials I had prepared. The fresh green bamboo strips were carefully joined together, with the stakes driven into the ground earlier serving as a sturdy framework. I tied the bamboo strips securely with ropes, creating simple yet vibrant walls. The rhythmic sounds of knives cutting bamboo and ropes tightening blended harmoniously with the gentle breeze rustling through the small garden. Although straightforward, this work required focus and skill to ensure that every piece fit perfectly. Once the kitchen frame was completed, I moved on to roofing. Large palm leaves, meticulously selected beforehand, were layered one by one like protective shields against sun and rain. Each leaf was carefully tied to the bamboo structure to ensure durability. Gradually, the palm leaf roof took shape, covering the entire frame below and creating a cozy space that blended seamlessly with nature. While I was engrossed in my work, James returned from the Pomelo purchasing factory. On his way home, he stopped by a convenience store to buy me a special gift, a mesh fence. It was something I had mentioned a few days ago while discussing plans to raise chickens in our small garden. James's attention to such small details made me feel happy and grateful. When he arrived home, James parked his car and brought the mesh fence inside. He stood watching me work for a while before smiling, seemingly pleased with how the new bamboo kitchen was coming together. Handing me the mesh fence, he said, "This will make it easier for us to raise chickens." I accepted it with visible joy on my face. Although the kitchen construction wasn't completely finished yet, I felt excited about our upcoming plans. The mesh fence would help create a safe corner in the garden for free-range chickens, a step toward making life here more self-sufficient. The new kitchen would not only be a place for cooking but also a symbol of our hard work and creativity. The afternoon passed in productive labor. The new kitchen, now adorned with its palm leaf roof, was nearly complete. Just a few finishing touches remained before it could be fully functional. Looking at what we had achieved so far filled me with pride and renewed energy to tackle unfinished projects in the days ahead. When James arrived at my place, the afternoon sunlight had already begun to fade, casting a golden hue over the small garden. He stepped in and saw me diligently working on finishing the new bamboo kitchen. The palm leaf roof was already completed, while the kitchen's frame was steadily being reinforced. Without saying much, James walked over and joined in to help me. Together, we worked in harmony, coordinating seamlessly to complete the final details of the kitchen. Laughter and conversation mixed with the sounds of knives cutting bamboo and ropes tightening, making the work environment lively and enjoyable. The kitchen building process sped up significantly with James's assistance. The last bamboo pieces were perfectly joined together, forming a small yet sturdy and vibrant kitchen. The palm leaf roof covered the entire frame below, creating a cozy space that felt close to nature. When the work was finished, both of us stood back to admire our accomplishment, with joy and satisfaction clearly visible on our faces. After the kitchen was completed, James took out the mesh fence he had purchased earlier from his bag. Handing it to me, he said, "Now we can start our plan to raise chickens." I accepted the mesh fence with excitement, thanking him for such a practical gift. Without wasting time, we began working together to enclose a corner of the garden for the chicken area. James and I measured the area that needed fencing. Bamboo stakes were driven into the ground to serve as supports for the mesh. James held each stake firmly while I tied the mesh securely to them one by one. Although simple, this task required meticulousness to ensure that the chicken area was safe and enclosed properly. Gradually, the mesh was stretched tightly around a small corner of the garden where chickens would roam freely in the future. When the chicken area was finished, we both stood back and looked at our work with satisfaction. The small garden corner had now transformed into a promising new space where chickens would contribute to enriching our self-sufficient lifestyle. James looked at me and said, "We did a great job." I smiled back, feeling grateful for his support and companionship in every task. The afternoon came to an end with a fiery red sunset on the horizon. The new kitchen was completed, and the chicken area was ready. Both were results of hard work and seamless collaboration between two people. As I looked at our increasingly improved living space, I felt filled with hope for the days ahead, where each day would be a journey of building and nurturing a better life.